What's up, everyone? Birds deep. We're in the house. Gene's sipping on his tea. We got the NFL genius below us. We got Cool McCain from Birds Elite. I said that right, right? Cool.
Nope.
It's Bird. It's damn it.
Eagles Elite, man.
Eagles
He's the
Elite.
man.
Eagles Elite. I'm running on an empty tank, but Eagles Elite.
All good.
Eagles Elite. Remember what night is it? Tell them
Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. EDT
so you can whet your
at
appetite.
youtube.com/at Eagles Elite Podcast. Real simple.
You'll whet your Eagles appetite on Wednesday and then eat on Thursday with Birds Deep. So I got Cool McCain here. I'm the Godfrey, THEEGODFREY, and I got Gene down here. Gene, tell him who you are.
Mean! Woo! Gene. What's popping? I'm so hyped. I felt like the NFL training camp and the Eagles preseason, the cuts, they couldn't have went better, in my opinion. I don't want to get too far ahead, but I told you before the preseason started to look out for that man, Eli Ricks. Made the roster. Undrafted. Kind of hype about that. Don't mind me.
I mean, listen, it's a good story.
I was good. Would have been a first round draft pick 2 years ago out of LSU. The injury kind of hurt him. I think that he's getting back to that. I think this is the year of undrafted free agents making their comeback. You're talking about Eli Ricks and Justin Ross over there in Kansas City. You might, who knows? You might see Eli Ricks versus Justin Ross in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, that could be interesting. In the Chiefs rematch, Eagles Chiefs rematch.
That's what I want.
I wouldn't be mad about that.
That's what I want. I'll tell you right now, it sounds stupid. It sounds silly. I don't want the easier road. I don't want the lighter path. I want revenge. I'm a very vengeful person. I am spiteful. I'll give you an example of that. I don't want to go too far into this, but there's somebody that did something, that said something about my father about a month ago. It's on site. You cannot come into the city of Philadelphia. It's on site. I'm a vengeful, spiteful mother effer. I don't want to get too far.
There has been a commissioner of fantasy or football fandom has put down a ruling on Gene, though. If the Eagles do happen to go to Super Bowl and lose, he is banned from any group chat for 24 hours.
That's fair. Fair.
Until there's a cooling off period.
Bro, Cool was just as mad, but Cool was cooler. Like, he didn't do it publicly. Cool was privately messaging after that game. He's like, screw him. F him. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I was mad, bro. Listen, I think the one thing all three of us have in common is we love the Eagles. We love Eagles football. We all might do it in a different way. We all might have a different roundabout way to do it. Like, I'm super emotional when it comes to Eagles football. You guys don't remember this. Cool might. But I popped off in that chat when the Eagles lost to the Commanders on Monday Night Football. I was losing it that night. I don't like it. Like, I don't like when people, when you lose and they got to rub it in during the game. Give me 24 hours. Give me a little bit.
That reason right there is why I tend to watch games alone, especially an Eagles game. If you're an Eagles fan, you can join me. But if you're a Giants fan, I used to have a Giants fan who lived above me, and he was like, yo, let's watch games together. I was like, no, you're not allowed to watch games with me in my house. And he's like, that's petty. I'm like, no, because you're going to say something that's going to twist me sideways, and I'm going to throw you the fuck out.
It's actually a great starting point, Godfrey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I hate watching games at Lincoln Financial Field. I mentioned that to you guys before.
Now, is that the field you don't like itself, or you just don't like watching them in person?
I would much prefer controlled environments.
Same.
I'll explain to you what I mean, right? I want to be home next to knowledgeable Eagles fans. I could even let a knowledgeable football fan in the house that's not like a troll, like not a Cowboys fan or a Giants fan. I could allow that, right?
Or a Patriots fan.
Yeah, that's fair. But I need to sit next to someone that understands the game of football. And at the Eagles game, and I don't mean to sound rude when I say this, there's so many guys that get drunk and say the dumbest things. Like, I'll know the Eagles are playing cover 2 zone. and a receiver will be on a go route, and the safety doesn't get over there early enough. And I'll hear an Eagles fan being like, Darius Slay got burnt. Like, no, he didn't. It's cover 2. Like, what do you don't know what you're watching, right? Like, there's zones, there's man coverage, there's man beaters, there's zone beaters. I don't like try to show my knowledge off too much. However, I can't listen to someone say an NFL player who's an all-pro who didn't make a mistake sucks. You know what I mean? I can't do that. That drives me up a wall.
Or you'll hear the obligatory run the ball, bro. I hear you. But every time, run the ball. Do a draw play. It's 3rd and 24. What? Like, there's so many of them. Run the ball. We're passing the ball too much. Throw it to Darren Sproles out of the backfield. It's just like I used to hear them all, and I started to tune them out. I was in a matrix of like Eagles, and I just would I wouldn't even hear it. And people would think I was rude. I'm like, what? Oh, you were talking? Like, I would just tune it out because I never understood. I love football. It's my favorite sport, but it's my least favorite sport to watch in person. Like, I never understood why I know people that pay thousands of dollars for their Eagles season tickets and they're blackout drunk by halftime. Like, bruh, I'm not that dude. Like, I want to watch the game. I don't want to be outside in the parking lot with the first quarter almost gone because I'm trying to chug another shitty Miller Lite. I'd rather be in the stadium watching the game. And everybody's, for me, this might come off the wrong way, but I feel like tailgating is for amateur football fans. I don't think you're a real football fan if you're willing to miss the game and watch it on a 13-inch TV in a parking lot freezing your ass off. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it.
I have a small addendum, admittment to that. That's a really wrong word. I don't know why I use that, but I have a small add-on to what you just said. I think that tailgating is fine. As long as if it's a 1:00 game and you head into the stadium at 12:30, you can get there at 7:30. You can eat, you can hang out with your friends. You go watch the pregame in the parking lot. I'm good with that. Just don't. Yeah, let's watch the first quarter out here. Finish these beers.
Yeah, can't do
no.
Bad move.
Also,
then go buy beer for like $12 a pop in the stadium.
Also, I'm not against going down to the game and watching the full game in the parking lot without tickets, not paying for tickets, just watching it in the tailgate lot if I didn't pay for tickets. I'm not against it. I just would rather be on my couch in my controlled environment with my temperature set how I want it, with my ice cold beer in the fridge, and with my fresh Santucci's pizza. This ad is brought to you by I'm kidding. We're not advertising. But my fresh pizza that I can walk over and grab a slice, spend $30 on a case and a beer, and I'm happy. Why can't I have that?
Yeah.
Well,
you could drop.
Yeah, cool. I want to hear you.
Go ahead.
I like watching the games at like the sports bar, but not at Eagles bar because I live in North Carolina, right? So there's those same people that you're talking about. They're at the Eagles bar and they're getting slapped drunk. And I've almost gotten 3 fights at the Eagles bar with Eagles fans. So I don't go to the Eagles bar to watch games anymore. But I do like to go to the sports bar because Buffalo Wild Wings, different places. I enjoy when the other teams get pissed, right? Because if something happens, I'm sitting there, I'm mad because we're losing, but then there's a Commanders fan over here and he is freaking going in. That is amazing to me. When the Arlington football team loses a game or Dak throws one of those interceptions he always throws and they just lose their mind, it's amazing. So I do enjoy that. But I do see your point as far as going to games. But the phrase that I laugh at the most is third down. It's 7 yards or 10 yards to go. Somebody runs a 7-yard crosser. They're like, oh, he's wide open. Why you hit him with the ball? Because it's still not a first down and we're trying to move the ball. What are you talking about? So that's the one that gets me. But I definitely agree with where you guys are coming from. I do enjoy going to games when I do because I don't live there, right? So it's a whole experience for me. I get to fly up, get a rental car, go down to the stadium, hang out with some of the fans. I always try to plug the show, of course, because I'm a shameless plugger. I'm the new Mick Foley. And then go watch the game. But you got to be in there from the beginning.
My friends hate how much I share my shows out. They're like, well, I know every time you're live, you're sharing it in I shared in like softball groups. I shared in like, yard sales. I don't care. I get put in share jail all the time because I accidentally, because I hit share all and I just like click them all. I shared one into a group. It was like, save little Timmy. I'm like, God damn it. No, like it's not real. I'm sharing it in the wrong groups, but we got a lot to get into and we only got 39 minutes left. So let's start to get into that. Before I throw the depth chart up on the screen, what were your initial thoughts on the cuts, on the third preseason game, and what you've seen in the preseason as a whole? So, like, my thought process would be like, let me give you an example of what I mean. I thought Deion Kane would be more of a threat in the preseason. I thought he would be a threat to take a third or fourth receiver, and he just didn't live up to those expectations. So, like, that would be like an example of what I see in the preseason. I didn't think Reed Blankenship would take such a jump from last year to this year. That was a pleasant surprise. You called it. You did. I give you credit where credit's due. So cool. I'll start with you. Give me a takeaway from the preseason and then a takeaway from some of the roster moves.
All right. So my takeaway from the preseason, Gene, Godfrey, all the hosts from the Eagles Elite podcast, I apologize. I foolishly believe that Marcus Mariota can at least be a backup in the NFL. Boy, was I wrong. This guy stinks. Horrible, garbage, trash. Why is he on the roster? I'd rather go with Tanner McKee as the backup. At least he is trying. This dude is terrible. I've never seen guys overthrow everybody before. I don't know who he's even throwing the ball to. He's overthrowing the offense. He's overthrowing the defense. He's misreading everything. He runs great. If you wanted to use him as like a Taysom Hill, he'd be great. But as an actual backup quarterback, if he gets in that game, we are in not just trouble, but we're in trouble. So definitely missed that one. I did get one right, but I completely missed the ball on that one. And I apologize to everyone because it was terrible. As far as cuts, I like the Greg Ward cut because Greg Ward is a kind of like the outside guy. Like he's right there on the cusp, but he's not quite good enough, right? He's smallish. He's got pretty solid hands, but route running has never been great. He understands the game greatly. But as far as actually going out there and performing in the games, he's just not quite good enough. He's like, if we need somebody else, he's a guy to bring up. He understands he used to be a quarterback, but just as a player, he's just always should be right there on that cusp of being cut. And, I'm fine with him on the practice squad.
Did they put him on a practice squad?
Jory said he quit in Atlanta. Rabel saw enough in Tennessee.
But Jory, I just thought he could be a backup. He can't even do that. Not even a backup.
He quit in Atlanta. He quit in Tennessee. I mean, I don't look, man. I was told Marcus Mariota was most known for his character and the type of person he was. So I watched that Netflix series Quarterback with Peyton Manning, and I don't know. I had hope that it was something else, but he quit on that Falcons team.
Yeah, he definitely quit on that Falcons team.
Godfrey, takeaway preseason.
One guy I thought that was going to make it and had a really bad final game was Joseph Nada, the wide receiver. I was watching that game. I was like, oh shit, that might have been it. That might have been it for him, And I was like, oh, he ain't gonna survive because it was gonna be tough. I thought he had a chance because, again, like Cole pointed out, I still think we're thin at receiver, man. I just, I knew Zacchaeus was gonna make it, just because they love that he could block and he could kind of get into the system. And Deion Kane, I was super disappointed in. I thought he would have a better showing. He didn't. There's just so many cuts. Britton Covey, he got cut. I mean, who's returning punts?
It's probably going to be Quez. Quez has been the guy that's constantly been on the punt return team. They right now on the depth chart, I'll go over it. It's Boston Scott and Zacchaeus. So the punt return would be Zacchaeus with Devontae Smith and Quez. And then the kick returns, we got Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, and Quez.
Yeah, I thought Micaiah Gardner would he started to kind of really tail out, stuff that I saw the Eagles move on from, kind of, Nicholas Morrow they moved on from, thought that would turn out better, did not.
They IR Trey Turner for the year, Trey Sermon for the year.
Say what? Oh yeah, they IR'd
him for the year.
Yeah. Trey Sermon, I put him in the same category I'm about to put Tyree Jackson. That's an experiment that these guys are future XFL, USFL players. I mean, they just don't have that second gear to contribute on an NFL roster. Tyree Jackson's been an experiment. They've been trying for years. They finally let go of that. It's I didn't even know Freddie Swain was even on the team. I was like, what? He was on the team? So, there's a couple things that I'm hoping they're working out. Ian Book, I mean, of course, I totally agree with cutting him, but I mean, Kennedy Brooks, though, that last game.
How about the Nicholas Morrow cut? I love that. I love that they know, like the way I seen that, right? They signed Nicholas Morrow. Now you got to understand, Nicholas Morrow was a guy that played for our defensive coordinator before. That's why he got brought in. He knew the scheme. He knew the defense. I think they noticed very early in preseason and training camp, he wasn't the guy that they wanted to build around. They brought in Miles Jack and Zach Cunningham, and immediately they made the right decision. They didn't hamper on it. They didn't wait on it. They said, all right, Nicholas, it's not going to work for us. We're going to start Zach Cunningham and Nakobe Dean. And by the way, talk about pleasant surprises. Nakobe Dean, Eli Ricks, those were great surprises. You watch, guys, Anthony Richardson, the Colts played all their starters for the first half of the third. And Anthony Richardson was 6 of 17. I'm not a fan of him. I told you I don't think he's going to be that good. I've always been low on him. But got to give the Eagles backup defense credit. They all played well. They played, they allowed a couple touchdown drives. I feel like that the Zebras kind of got them on a couple to keep the drives alive. A couple third downs, there were penalties against the Eagles defense. But I found it very interesting that the Eagles kept so much depth at the defensive line position, but very, very small depth at the wide receiver position. I think they're going to have Kenneth Gainwell out there running routes. I think they're going to have tight ends out there running routes. And I think they plan on running a lot of 2 tight end sets. I think that they believe that their best offense is basically 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. And that's why they made the trade. I think that's why they made the trade to bring in I don't want to Albert. I don't want to mispronounce the guy's last name, but Alberto from Denver. I think it's an interesting take.
I love that pickup. They didn't spend a lot, but they gave us some decent draft capital for him. I mean, it's not for what he's shown so far. I really think that's a plan B, and I also think that's a new wrinkle to the offense where, like, you can, maybe send Goddard over the middle, leave him in the block, or vice versa, because he has some receiving chops. I believe he played in tandem with Noah Fant in Iowa State, if I'm not mistaken, and he was drafted after Noah Fant. But I like that pickup, man. I'm excited about that because that is some really good tight end depth. And, I like Dallas Goedert. I think he's the better tight end, but he has had a few little hiccups here and there with injuries. And, this guy can step right in. I just think the drop off isn't as far as it would have been if we was Dallas Goedert and all the collection of all the other guys that are there behind him. I just think that's a really solid depth move. And that's a championship type of move that goes under the radar.
I don't hate Calcaterra. I don't hate Jack Stoll. I don't think either one of those guys are bad players. But when I look at what the Eagles did in that final preseason game, they tried giving Trey Sermon every opportunity to earn a roster spot. He went 16 of 30. Deion Kane finally showed out in the third preseason game. Joseph Nada did not. Shame about Tyree Jackson. Hope he gets better soon. But overall, I knew a lot of those guys weren't going to make the roster. The one shock that really didn't make the roster I was kind of shocked about was Kevon Wallace. I thought they would keep him as a secondary piece. He's shown development from last year to this year. He looked better. Before we get into the depth chart, what were your thoughts on Kevin Wallace?
Yeah, I mean, I just think he's just getting buried because I just think people are playing better than him. I didn't really he hasn't really stood out to me, man. I just you got guys like Rick's coming in. I know Rick's might not be playing the same position. I just don't. It made sense to me. It was he's probably going to end up on another team, but I don't see. I'm not really losing any sleep over that one. That's how deep the Eagles are getting with some of these pickups. I mean, Eli Ricks I didn't know about Eli Ricks until I see him in a preseason, and I didn't really know his background until Gene brought him up to me. Gene's more of a college football guy than I am, but I mean, the guy's obviously a better talent than his draft position would indicate. I mean, you can see that.
The 2022 mock draft, the one Eli Ricks was supposed to come out before he got hurt, he was scheduled to be around the 19 to 30 pick. Then he got hurt. He transferred from LSU to Bama. He had a rough year last year being hurt. He got re-injured, and that's why he basically went undrafted. But the same reason we got Landon Dickerson where we got him was due to injury. Landon Dickerson, healthy, was a first rounder, no doubt about it. We stole him because he tore both his ACLs in college. Howie loves trying to find those diamonds in the rough that might be undervalued because of their injury history.
Yeah.
So, guys, can we talk about one thing real quick? Can we talk about this Isaiah Rodgers sign?
I love it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
I mean, we brought in a guy who's a starting caliber, right? We don't know what's going to happen with the cornerbacks after this season because, they're getting a little long in the tooth. So we're bringing in a guy on a reserve contract for next year that would probably start on a lot of teams right now if he could play. And, I mean, he's not suspended he's suspended for gambling, right? I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't matter, but he shouldn't be suspended a whole year for gambling. I mean, stupid. He should have done it, especially in the facility where it could be tracked. But, so I'm excited. He's gotten better the years that he's been in the league, and I think he's going to be a guy that can be a player for us for years to come if we're able to sign him to something long term. So I love the pickup, and big ups to Howie. We need to do something at wide receiver, Howie.
I know who I think the Eagles should pick up at wide receiver. And
who's that?
People might think he's washed. I still think he's worth a look. Javaris Landry, still a free agent. All right. I like him because he had an injury marred season last season. He was in New Orleans. They were having a down year at the quarterback position, obviously. Dealt with a lot of injuries. He had injuries. He's a good teammate, good character guy. He's a good pass catcher in traffic. He plays tough. He's a gritty dude. I think that'd be a great guy for the Eagles to add, personally. If you could get him on the cheap, that'd be a great depth piece, a great veteran presence that probably wants to win because he hasn't been on a lot of winning teams in his career. That will, I think, contribute. Maybe he's dust at this point. I mean, that's not what I'm reading out there, but he could be. I hope he's not, but,
What about Jalen Reagor?
I'm leaving this podcast right now. Jalen Reagor.
No,
it's a 4th round pick. Damn it, the damn Vikings couldn't hold on to him.
Well, it's because he sucks.
I know.
Yes.
The only person I would think of picking up on the free agent wire as a veteran bring-in would be Robbie Anderson. I think he's still a free agent. He's got the burners. He's got the Jets. Can stretch the defense. He still was in the league last year. Robbie Anderson would be somebody I would look at bringing in.
Whoa. I need to correct you, Gene. That's Chosen Anderson. Okay.
Did he change his name?
Yes, to Chosen Anderson. And that right there is a red flag.
Can I retract my statement?
Yeah. No, man. When I heard that, I was like, what?
All right, fine. I'm gonna go with T.Y. Hilton. I'm done.
I'll go with that. At least he's still T.Y. Hilton.
I'll take that.
I mean, that guy is like the ultimate warrior. He's like, I'm gonna change my name to a character. Chosen Anderson. Wow.
All right. Well, here's the depth chart. Let's talk about this next. You guys all see that on the screen. I'm gonna space it out so I can see it better. Let's talk about the depth chart as a whole. Now, the wide receiver position's obviously lacking. It looks like Zacchaeus and Quez Watkins will be fighting for time in the slot. We obviously know wide receiver 1 and 2. I did find it I was very happy to see that Cam Jurgens won the right guard battle over Tyler Steen. I'm also happy that Tyler Steen competed for that position. That means that our 3rd round draft pick this year wasn't a waste, right? I'm happy that we found some offensive line depth that was in a competition with our 2nd rounder last year. Looking at the offense overall as a whole, I think Alberto will move up to tight end 2. He just got in the building, which is why he's still listed as tight end 4. But looking at the offense as a whole, I find 0 issues with anything there, including the running back room and the order in which they're listed. Starting with the offense, what do you see? What do you look at when you see this, and what would you prefer to see more of?
Go ahead, Copper.
I mean, on this overall depth chart. I mean, dude, I hate to keep beating a drum, but I just feel like we got 4 receivers. Like, I don't know what else to say, man. Like I can't get mad at the secondary. I can't get mad at the D-line. Punter's a problem. And, it reminds me of the Andy Reid era. I want to take you back in the Wayback Machine, okay? We were playing the Green Bay Packers on opening day. I forget the kid's name, but he was a promising player, but hurt himself jumping a fence. I forget his name, number 30. Man, it was a safety. I believe he was doing punt returns. Anyway, we didn't really have a punt returner. And Andy Reid, when he was the Eagles coach, had a penchant for just kind of ignoring a small detail, say, we'll go with this plan, and it would bite us in the ass at some point in the season, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Isaiah Reed, was it? No, not Isaiah Reed. His last name was Reed.
I just want to read a comment out real quick. Jay McCune said, the only problem I have with this Eagles roster from top to bottom is can't really find that many problems whatsoever. That was his response. I love that.
We're supposed to find that, though.
I know. No. I get it. We need to bring in a 5th wide receiver. We need to be, and I think that they're going to. We need to bring in a punter. I get it, right? Like, I'm not.
They'll bring in a punter. I'm not worried about that.
So, when I look at the roster, all right, you know what we'll do?
J.R. Reed, that's his name.
Let's figure out what player the Philadelphia Eagles are going to cut. There's 2 players they got to cut to bring in a punter and a 5th wide receiver. I think one of them, is Morrow. I know they love the guy. I love
Morrow Jones. Yeah, definitely one.
I think he's one of them. He's 7th round draft pick. They kept him in the building. They have a ton of defensive line depth. He's the odd man out to me. That's your wide receiver. The second one, Patrick Johnson, maybe?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I'll tell you who it should be. Would you like to know who it should be?
Yes, I would. Derek Barnett.
It should be Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, well, I'm with that. I don't need to carry 3 quarterbacks. I'm with that.
Yeah.
Well,
Derek Barnett is going to get his wish, I hope, and then that'll open up a spot too.
Derek Barnett getting traded would be nice. They didn't want to trade him. They didn't want to cut him and get nothing back for him. So, I honestly, when I look at that, we'll move to defense. When I look at that defensive line depth, man, I argue this all the time. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have the best defensive line in football. You go Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Milton Williams, Marlon Tuliapo, and Kentavious Street, who had a hell of a preseason and a free agency, training camp. So that's 9 guys deep, and that's not counting Hassan Reddick and Nolan Smith, who aren't really linebackers; they're edge rushers. I love their defensive line depth. I love their attacking the quarterback depth. I'm going to scroll down a little bit so we can focus on the defense, unless you guys have anything else you want to go over in the offense.
We need another guy that can be a center guard. That would be my biggest thing on
We have
defense
three of them. What do you mean?
because hear me out.
Okay.
So if we're saying that Cam Jurgens is going to be the starting right guard,
Oh, so if one of them go down,
so
we have three center guards basically.
Yeah. So if Jason Kelsey gets hurt, what are we going to do? We're going to have to then take Jurgens and move him to center,
and then move Steen.
We're going to have to Steen up, but then still need another guy who can play that, who can kind of do that. So that would be my biggest thing of something that we might want to look at.
Well, I don't think Suo Peta is bad to be that back. So essentially, they have three centers on the roster. Just two of them play guard. Landon Dickerson played center at Alabama. Cam Jurgens is a center that was drafted at transition to right guard, and Kelsey's our center. So we have three centers. Just two of them play guard. So you can't have two of them go down. You're kind of in a bad spot if two of them go down, because I don't think Suo Peta and Tyler Steen are bad backups. I'm happy with them, actually. I'm very happy with their depth there.
I think two receivers that the Eagles are going to bring back, Covey and Allen, are going to come back.
They're on the practice squad.
Oh, here's the practice squad right here. Just so
they're on it, but I mean, I think they're going to come back and
your boy Joseph Nada is on the practice squad. Taron Jackson made the practice squad, which is no surprise. They can elevate Aaron Sippas, who they basically put on the practice squad. Devin Allen's there, Britton Covey. Greg Ward, their practice squad, they easily elevate a lot of these guys. It's just they're at fear of them. Like, so for instance, they don't need to sign a punter. They can basically promote Aaron Sippas every week. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And Covey and Allen, they're both, Allen's a good gunner. So you need special teams players like that for depth. And Covey, can definitely do punt returns. So, I mean, they're both good. I think they're going to elevate them off the practice squad because they're seeing what else maybe they could get there at receiver 5 and 6. But I think both those guys are special teams contributors, so they're going to be on the team. I just don't see how they're not, unless they find something out there that is just such an upgrade. They're gonna just leave them on the practice squad. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
So really, you're looking for one more receiver, in my opinion, outside of those two dudes. And they're probably, how he's playing the shell game with the practice squad, and
I think Greg Ward will, if they don't sign anyone by week 1, I think Greg Ward will be the guy they promote from the practice squad, because he knows the offense better than anyone that's on their practice squad. He's like reliable. Hands are reliable. He's not great. He's not going to get you much separation, but if you need a guy to go get you run 6 or 7 routes, be a decent blocker, good team guy, you're going to have him.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about defense. Let's talk about defense. Let's get into that a little bit more. One of my favorite things about training camp was seeing more and more how much of a leader Nakobe Dean is. Guys, you guys know I'm a Nakobe Dean stan. My birthday is in a month and a half. If anyone wants to buy me a jersey with 3XL or 52, 54, if you want to buy me I don't mind. Nakobe Dean's what I want. I'm a huge fan of his, and I think that he's going to take the next level of being our middle linebacker. Super intelligent guy. Got all his Georgia Bulldogs around with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. You obviously have Nolan Smith. I love what they're doing as the Georgia Bulldogs defense. What about the Philadelphia Eagles outside? My 2 winners of the preseason and training camp, well, 3 of them, because I can't not include Reed Blankenship, are Nakobe Dean and Eli Ricks. On the defensive side of the ball, Godfrey, I'll start with you. What players stood out to you? What players do you think will have a huge impact this year? Surprised you, stepped up? I'm listening.
I mean, I'm surprised at Reed Blankenship. I mean, you were talking about it earlier. I thought this dude was straight trash juice. I was like, last year, I was like, this dude's he's waiting to get burnt. And I know he was a backup. He couldn't inspect a lot, but he stepped up. I mean, this dude must have been working his ass off in the offseason, because now he's played his way into number 1 on the depth chart in that position.
With no real backup, right? There's no real competition for his job. They basically went out and said, Reed, you're the guy, right? Like, I look at the safety position as a whole. Sidney Brown, and the depth chart speaks volumes, right? Is sitting behind Terrell Edmonds. And the undrafted Justin Evans is Reed Blankenship's backup. So they really want Reed Blankenship to be that center fielder. They're looking at Sidney Brown to be Terrell Edmonds' backup. So I'm good with that, right?
Yeah,
No?
I'm good with it. I mean, listen, he made me a believer. We'll see. I want to see him. I look at preseason football like I look at spring training in baseball. I need to see it carry over to the regular season, right? Like you'll see people just be like, "Oh man, what a great preseason!" I still need to see it carry over. So, and I think, they got some contingency plan into place. Like, Terrell and Sidney Brown are there. I mean, can you throw Sidney Brown a free safety? Right? I mean,
No.
no.
I don't think he's a free safety type. I think he's more of a run stopper, strong safety type. I think there's a significant difference. I think if you see the Eagles go out and make a move, like a trade and bring in a player, like a starter, the safety position would be the first position they'll look at. Do you disagree, Cole?
No. I think the safety would definitely be a position. And there's a guy in Arizona.
Oda.
We've got a guy that don't want to be here, Derek. So you can go play for your old DC and get 15 penalties a year for dumb plays.
He's already got K'Von Wallace in Arizona now.
That's all right. He can have Derek Barnett too.
He signed K'Von Wallace.
Yeah, K'Von Wallace got signed by them. Yep. So my thing with Derek Barnett is simply this, and I have to point this out. Derek Barnett is not smart up here when it comes to emotional, right? He's hitting people wrong times, dumb plays, getting penalties. We did not have that last year. Why didn't we have that? Because Derek Barnett was not on the team, was hurt. So honestly, I think a little bit of this may be a little butthurt from Derek Barnett. As good as we look without him, and he wants to go somewhere where he can get more time and show his stop. Hey, I'm all for it. I mean, I like Derek Barnett, the player, as far as what he can bring to the team. But the other pieces that sometimes come with him, they can be gone, and we can bring in someone else, and we could use it as a piece to help us maybe get a safety, or we can still have possibly that Taylor Swift combination. Just saying.
I don't even want that.
I would not be upset with it. I would rather have a safety, honestly, but I wouldn't be upset if we went that way too. I think big winner for me for the off seasons, two guys, Sidney Brown and Keely Ringo. I saw these two guys really put in work in training camp, get better, live the mantra 1% better every day. Just come in, make the adjustments, make the changes. I've seen Ringo talking a lot to Slay and Bradbury, just soaking in the knowledge, watching them, understanding them, and being a guy that something happens and someone needs to take a game, someone's gas, they need to come out, someone gets banged up and needs to sit some plays or whatever. I see him as a guy that can play either one of those cornerback positions. Biggest surprise is Josh Joby. Just saying. That's a big surprise for me.
Surprise in a good way or a bad way?
So surprising that he made the roster, honestly. Also surprised that he did look a lot better than what I saw from him last season. So a little bit of both.
Let me ask you a question. If Zach McPherson doesn't get hurt, what Eagle is it? Josh Jobe that misses it, or do you think they don't keep Eli Ricks?
I think it's Josh Jobe. I think
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I said that yeah. As a whole, when I look at this, I think there's significant linebacker depth issues. All their slot linebackers, Hassan Reddick, they're all edge rushers. Reddick, Nolan Smith, Patrick Johnson, they're all edge rushers. So the interior linebacking core of Zach Cunningham, Nakobe Dean, and Christian Ellis tells me two things. One, they don't value the linebacker position. And two, they're very happy with their two starters because you're an injury or two away from not having a linebacker.
Well, we know they don't value linebackers, so we've known that for the last 10 years.
You're correct.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not really funny, but I laugh because it's true, but it's not really funny.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, in a way.
The only two special teamers they kept on the roster were Jake Elliott and Rick Lovato. Rick Lovato being there just a long snap. And this is just a question I have, and you guys can, I guess I'm being a little silly here, but you can't teach anyone else to long snap. Like we have to keep a guy just to long snap. Like it's a roster spot. We have to keep one just to. Am I wrong for thinking that? Like we can't have anybody like Cam Jurgens can't be long snapping.
Talk to the Giants and when they played the Niners in the playoffs in the late 2000s. That one long snapper. I mean, it's one of those things where it goes unnoticed, but it could just have a big impact at the wrong moment and change the face of a game. So it's like
We've done that in this franchise for 35 years. Dornbos, remember?
Yeah.
We just keep long snappers. That's it. That's all he does.
It's a cushy job, man.
It's not that cushy of a job. I'll tell you right now, on punt returns, he gets blown up every single punt.
Yeah,
he does.
That's true. But
field goals, like you got to understand, like he's getting. You want to talk about a guy that has to go out there 7 times a game and get destroyed. That's what your long snapper is. He just gets destroyed. I guess that's why they keep a long snapper on the roster, like a test dummy.
And that way they don't have to put any of the linemen in that situation, in that precarious situation, we'll say.
I get it. Teach Tyler Steen how to All right, let's talk about special teams. Do you think they need? Well, obviously they're going to bring a punter in. If they don't bring a punter in, they'll promote Aaron Sipas week 1. He made the practice squad. No one wanted him. Shocking. My question would be, what about the punt god?
The punt god?
Oh, yeah. You don't know the punt god?
Who are we talking? No, is that Sebastian Janikowski's nephew?
No, the punt god's Matareza. If you don't know who Matareza is.
Oh, the guy from Buffalo?
Yes.
Yeah, from Buffalo.
The guy that got framed?
I mean, I will say he's better than Sipoff.
I'd take a shot at him. The guy's been cleared, right? I mean,
yeah, he didn't do anything. He should be in the league right now. It's ridiculous. That girl should be in jail.
Yeah.
Funny how I think works.
Yeah, right. I would love to bring the punt god in. I didn't know that was his nickname.
Do you know who he is? Do you know about him? He punts the ball 80 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he does a job. He got drafted in the 6th round of an NFL draft. A punter got drafted. That's how good he was.
I don't know how he's not on someone's team. I feel like the league knows something about this dude and they're not telling anybody or something because it's weird that he's not on a team with that kind of ability. There's guys that have gotten back on the field with ability that have done worse than, being accused and then cleared. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's weird, but I've bring him in. Why not? I'm all for it.
We need somebody. He's better than what we got.
I mean, it's not uncommon to trade for, the Broncos just traded for Will Lutz because he wanted his kicker, Sean Payton. So, I mean, it's not uncommon to go get your guy for special teams. It won't cost that much. So, it's just one of these things where, I feel like Nick Sirianni is I got my guys type of team. And I know all coaches are that to a certain level, but I really think he's a little bit more of a guy like that, where it's he'll value someone just because it's his guy, even though really you can upgrade at the position in certain situations. So I just feel like maybe that's what's going on there, because it's not a hard thing to upgrade. I don't understand. It's dude, if we need to upgrade, go overseas, find a fucking soccer player. Find someone that's a rugby player that punts the shit out of the ball. Get a goalie. They're out there. Have open tryouts. Let's have a punter open tryout. I mean,
I heard that they are going to have one. Actually, I heard that they were going to have one.
Yeah, they're out there, dude. There's tons of soccer goalies worldwide that be like, oh yeah, you're gonna pay me. What's a punter gonna make? $500,000 at the minimum. I don't know. It's
$500,000 to $800,000.
They're gonna be like, yeah, I'm there. Why not? I mean, that's a position that you can fill outside of the NFL bubble.
Might need to go warm the leg up there, Gene, man.
I'm not. There's no way. You can.
It's only a joke. I'm definitely.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, I've tried. I'm not kidding with you. I don't know why, for whatever reason in my life, I'm at 20 years old. I'm going to be an NFL kicker. I'm going to just start kicking. and it is not as easy as you think it would be. It's not easy. I played soccer, football. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start kicking. I'll make this work. No, not good. You're good. Cool. You're good. So any final thoughts? We have a couple minutes before we wrap up the show. I'm going to stop the screen share so we can kind of see our beautiful faces on the screen once again. Any final thoughts heading into next week's show will be a preview. I will not be here. I'll be in Universal. Jesus, Godfrey. I can't. But we'll be in Universal. I'll be in Universal next week, so I won't be here. It'll be just Cool and Godfrey. If they want to bring in a third, that's on them. We'll talk about it. But any final thoughts leading into next week's week 1? Anything that you want to see this week? Any undrafted free agents or any guys that got cut from teams that you're looking at? Notable cuts around the league that you're looking at for the Eagles to bring in?
Man, I was looking while we were talking all over the internet. I haven't really found anybody that I was tickled by to bring in. Unless you see one cool, but the Jarvis Landry one, that's the one I would think about. But
I have one that makes like really big sense. I just kind of I didn't want to take it away from anyone.
Throw it out there.
Well, why not bring in Bailey Zappi or
Colt McCoy
to be our backup quarterback instead of Marcus Mariota?
Well, I thought about Colt McCoy, but apparently he has really, really bad knee stuff going on. That's
why not Bailey Zappi?
I thought about that because, first of all, I love that he played for Western Kentucky, who has the most badass mascot of all time, the Hilltopper. But yeah, I mean, Bailey Zappi showed a little bit of ability to come in and play on a spot. I don't see why not. It was an unusual move, I think, by the Patriots to cut all of their quarterbacks except Mac Jones. Not saying they should have cut Mac Jones, but so I would. I mean, he's got some, the kid's fighting for a spot. I think he's going to have more dog in him than Marcus Mariota at this point in his career. I would do it.
At any point in his career.
I also thought it was very interesting that the Dallas Cowboys cut Jabril Cox. He was looked at as the starting linebacker up until 2 weeks ago, and he got cut. So I wouldn't mind bringing him in for linebacker depth. Always been a fan of him out of LSU. I wanted the Eagles to draft him when he came out. That would be somebody. And then Philip Dorsett from the Las Vegas Raiders got cut. The Raiders are such a dumpster fire. I wouldn't mind bringing him in to be our fifth wide receiver.
Kendrick Bourne got cut. I mean, didn't he get? Yeah, he got released. I mean,
our boy John Hightower got cut.
Yeah, no, he needs to try for the USFL. Him and Tyree Jackson, they can take a bus together. I mean, I remember people talking about John.
I think Tyree Jackson actually got picked up though.
Did he? He's just one of those guys with size where they're like, oh, this guy is a physical specimen, and they're just hoping it turns into something, and it just hasn't. I mean,
so I wanted Jalen Smith, the linebacker from New Orleans.
Okay.
But I think he's going to be returning to New Orleans. I see some reports. Nothing official yet, but because I would like to have, another guy, like you were saying, in that linebacker room that can play. And I think he would be a good
My favorite one that got cut was Deion Jones. He got cut from Carolina. I wouldn't mind adding him to the room.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, it's 6:50, gentlemen. Another episode of Birds Deep in the books. Every week we'll be bringing the Eagles football. Godfrey, see us out. Let us know. Give everybody their due. Your show, brother.
Yo, listen. Thanks for listening, folks. It's going to get more intense as the season goes on. We got Cole McCain. We got Gene over here, the NFL genius. Me, the Godfrey. We got more coming for you. And you will be able to look forward to, because the next time, we got one more show before the Eagles play, right? So,
yep,
you'll be able to look forward to breakdowns, grades of every game during the season, including the playoffs, from all three of us who are astute and avid Eagle watchers, even football itself. So, tune in. You know where to find us.
I'll be in Universal Studios at a bar at ESPN Studio watching the Philadelphia Eagles play. I'll be on vacation. Like, sorry guys, I'm going to watch the Birds all day.
That's how I would
be
roll.
Moving from ESPN that entire Sunday.
That's how I would roll.
Absolutely.
So, and
bro,
everybody be damned. That's all I got to say. But thanks for tuning in, folks. Thanks for listening. You know where to find us. Sports Empire Network, Wire to Wire. Am I missing anything there, Gene? We've been switching it up over the past 2 weeks. I don't want to leave anything out.
We're not switching up. But my man, Cool McCain, Eagles Elite Podcast. Tune into him. Also, the NFC East Roundtable. The guy knows his stuff. He constantly on multiple Eagles shows. I'll be on. Me and Godfrey will be on Sideline to Sideline in just 8 minutes. Make sure you tune into that. We're releasing our playoff brackets, and next week on Birds Deep, you'll see all three of us back here. Well, two of us. I'll be in Universal, but yeah, Godfrey.
Also, let's work on bringing back Counterfeit Green starting next week.
Oh yeah, Counterfeit Green comes back. You have to. I think it should start 2 weeks from now after the Eagles play. But
that's all right. We can do that.
Green we'll be bringing back. Appreciate everybody tuning into the show. We are signing out.
Take your Birds Deep.